You are listening to Two Truths Podcast, a place where we have real conversations about faith, motherhood, healing, and becoming whole in Christ.
We believe our stories matter and that God uses every chapter of our lives for purpose.
Here, we share where we've been and who God is in our lives today.
Our prayer is that these conversations remind you that you are loved, seen, and never walking alone. I will forever be laughing when we start because it's us getting set up.
Girl, listen. It's so funny because it's like you realize, Pastor Mike spoke on this today. He said, he was like, I get so tickled when I realize, because, we merged with Dwell.
Yeah.
He was like, I get so tickled. He was like, because number one, God loves me enough, but God knows me enough to know that he has to send the right people for me to be able to do what it is he called me to do. And it makes me laugh because I'm just like, Lord, like, because, we were just going to show up with the iPad.
And started out with that iPad. I know y'all remember our first episode where we was neck up. We was neck up from the checkup, girl.
We was lean back.
Girl. But we was two girls trying to do a pod, and we was excited.
We was going to do the Lord's work.
We was going to do the Lord's work, whether you could see just our face or not. We was doing the work of the Lord.
Girl, and we was stretched out.
Girl, we didn't know.
I'm so thankful, that from this place of healing, I recognize, homegirl, you can't do it all. Every lane is not yours.
Yeah, I definitely know that ain't my lane.
And so all of this, I'm just like, I love that we can just be like, Abel, what we need to do.
And that we're learning. Yeah. And Abel's so gracious. He's so patient.
Because I know sometimes he'd be like, what? We just talked about this stuff.
And I was going to say, when he's editing the video, he has to be like, now I know I told him how to have the lighting set up.
But when you read his messages, he just so sweet.
It was so encouraging.
Patient. And I'm just patient. Like, he is such a huge cheerleader.
Yes, he is.
And I know he gonna have a couple great patches.
Yeah, he is.
By the time season one over. Yeah.
Yeah. Us. We sorry about that, Abel.
Yeah.
But if you need a communications person, I don't even know the official term. I just know that he is worth his salt. He's worth his weight in salt. So if you are needing someone, you're thinking about getting into the podcasting space or videography or film, photography or whatever, Abel's your guy.
He is.
Let us know if you want more information about him, but he's your guy. He's good.
Sweet
he loves
spirit.
God, sweet spirit. And the thing I like about Abel is that he's a creative through and through. Even when we sat down to have our creative consultation with him, and we told him kind of like the idea behind the pod, and he immediately had ideas.
Oh yeah.
He immediately was like, okay, I think we can do this. We can take it in this direction. And his excitement had me excited.
Yes.
And it keeps me excited because he's really passionate about what he does.
He is.
And I love that because I think if you are working with anyone
in
this space, you want them to have a passion for it because then it feels less like a chore to them.
Yeah.
And more like an adventure, like an opportunity. So.
And he's so humble. And he just, like, whereas, me and you are in a leadership space, right? And so sometimes you have to have this persona that's kind of like, straight and narrow. And Abel gives us permission to just do what needs to be done. And his expertise is, I can clean that up. And so when you understand, that there's different parts of the body, you know what I mean? And so I just really love that. I love that we can, in a sense, co-parent, whatever the word is.
And by parenting, Abel's the parent and we're the kids. And he's leading us along. We're like some little ducks behind the mama duck. We're just following behind the papa duck, and he's the one.
Because, girl, we was like in here, like we had stuff taped to the wall. We had cords just stretched.
We were just trying to figure it out.
Abel was like, okay, that is a hazard.
Okay, well, first we're not going to do that. nobody needs to get hurt in the making of the pod, so let's not do that.
Yeah. And I think, there was a season where things like that would have kind of been offensive to me.
Yeah.
Because I would have felt like, this is our project, so we should know the ins and outs, and we should know this and that. But I think to be effective, you gotta be willing to know your strengths and weaknesses.
Yes, you do.
And you gotta know when to summon help.
Yeah. And we had to summon our boy in. Yeah. Which leads into us talking about leadership. Leadership after healing.
Ooh, my God.
Showing up without shrinking. You just said something where you were like, in a different season, I could have been offended.
Oh, yeah.
By him giving us the direction that he gave us, because I, whatever, didn't have the capacity, the wherewithal to recognize that he was the help that God sent us. Right.
Yeah.
So now you and I are both in leader spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, help us, Jesus. Let's just jump into it, because I think there's been a lot of things that being in leader spaces that we have had to endure that has looked different pre-healing, mid-healing, post-healing, right? Because we're always going to be healing, right? From now until this other side, till we get in glory, we're going to always be healing. But what has it looked like as you've moved through your healing journey? What does that look like for you from a healing perspective? What in your lens or your perspective has changed from the time you were leader A to now the time that you're leader Z?
Oh, that's good. So leader A was a costly season. Leading, I say now, prematurely. Before I was ready, before I was healed. It was costly for me. It cost me jobs. It cost me consideration for other positions to move up, because there was such an immaturity. And at the time, it was, now I can look back and say, I wasn't healed enough to be in those spaces, because there were certain times where, being in a space of leadership, people would come to me and it would be, I would take it personal, or I would take it would be offensive to me. And so constructive criticism was a no-no.
Not me. Not your sweet precious daughter, Lord. You ain't gonna nobody gonna tell me what to do.
Because I'm here for a reason. I got here.
I'm your leader. I'm your leader, not the other way around.
Yeah, and to speak into that too, that was this self-righteousness. I have went to nursing school and I've got these degrees, and how dare they think they are on an equal playing field with me? Like, they don't know what I've walked through to get here. It was a lot of immaturity. Yeah. A lot of immaturity. And I think that caused me to I think there was some ineffective witnessing there, because maybe I was one of those ones, like, I'm matching energy. Baby, I'm gonna tussle.
Man, it's like, who are you talking to?
I'm gonna match energies. Yeah, if you went 2 octaves, I'm going 4.
Wow.
It was.
You wanted all the smoke.
Girl, and if I can't find the smoke, I'm gonna make some.
I'm gonna create it myself.
Yes, I mean, just very, very loose-lipped. Very. My goal was, because I was hurting. Man, my words were daggers. Like, I was not productive. I was not able to build up. I was a tornado who left a lot of destruction. And it wasn't intentional, but it was, because I think, like, now I'm in a space, now that I'm a Z leader, where I've been in these healing spaces, I'm able to recognize and I'm able to say, you know what, I need to take a pause. I need to have a seat in this season. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a trigger for me. Right. Or that's a lane that I'm not ready for. But man, that leader A, I'm telling you, I'm thankful for it. Yeah. Because I've seen what I don't want to be. Yes. But girl, it was costly. Yeah. That's the only. that's the best fitting word I have for this. That season. And that season wasn't long ago. You know, I'm talking a year or two ago.
Yeah.
It was a very costly season for me. Just because of that lack of maturity, the lack of language.
Yeah.
The lack of emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
The lack of not realizing that I was to be set apart. Like, I look like the world, you know what I'm saying? One of the things I say now is like, now I know my authority. Like, I'm not gonna tussle with a demon. Maybe then I was tussling with demons and whatever else. Yeah, I was getting in it.
Yeah, y'all was in the field tussling,
knee deep in mud,
knee deep.
So yeah, that's the word I would give it. Is it was costly.
I started out in the leader space about 15 years ago. And so when I first started out as a leader, I worked my way up through the ranks. And I will say I had some really good women leader bosses. And I make that distinction because I think that there is a distinction in how men and women lead, and it just is what it is. It's not trying to us against them, but I think that there is a distinction. And for me as a woman, learning how to lead, that was also important for me too. But I started out in the leader space almost 15 years ago, and at leader A, like you said, to leader Z. I wasn't quite all about the smoke as much because I did start out, I worked myself up through the ranks. Yeah. But what I will say is when I first started into the leadership space, I was really worried about people receiving me as a leader. When you go from being peers to subordinate to peer, it was different, right? Because these are the people that I was just walking alongside of, if you will, then to becoming their subordinate, to becoming their leader. And so I think that that was different for me at first, because I really worried about whether or not everybody was going to receive me and whether they're going to be receptive. But I had some really good leaders along the way that did two things. They showed me great examples of leadership and poor examples of leadership. And I remember always modeling myself after both my good and bad leaders to say, I never want to lead from that space. Yeah. Because I seen what was involved in it. Yeah. I seen sometimes the ego. I seen sometimes the nastiness. I've seen sometimes the politics of it. And so I was always like, Lord, you've given me this opportunity and I want to steward it well. Yeah. Like, I don't want to be a person who, particularly because I feel like I started at the bottom rung, right? I knew what those in the trenches were doing because I was in the trenches. So I was like, I don't want to get up the ladder further and be like, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like, I've arrived. And that's another thing is I was always trying to be mindful about, I never want to get to the place where I feel like I've arrived. I never want to get to the place where I feel like I've stopped learning. Yeah. Right? Because I'm no good. I'm no good as a leader. True. I feel like I'm no good in general if I ever get to the space where I feel like I've arrived. And I'm a knower of all things. Yeah. So I always, in that space, but that's not to say that as I didn't grow up the ladder and become in different leader spaces, that I didn't have some moments where I felt, like you said, kind of like, who are you talking to? And the Lord had to knock me back down a peg, like, they talking to you, sis. Yeah. So you are subjected to authority as well, too. But that's brings me into thinking about leading from a healed space versus an ego space. And what that looks like when you have God at the center mass and informing you on how to come on, speak to it. Come on, speak to it, Nurse Mandy.
Listen, when I brought God into it, you just expect God to allow you to tell on other people. I spend so much time, I'd be like, Lord, today was terrible because, such and such. Lord, if such and such wouldn't have did this, that's good. And the Lord was like, homegirl, if you wouldn't have done,
let's talk about how
such and such
had something to do with it,
we wouldn't be here. And so I think that was one of the things too, is like I went from this volatile leader to this, you know, it's because of y'all. You know, I was not inserting myself into it. You know, not realizing that they're only able to do what they're able to do is because as a leader, I'm allowing it.
Right.
And so that was the ego part of it. Is like, you know, it's a them problem.
Yeah.
It's not a us. It's them.
Yeah.
And so when I started inviting God into that space with me, because I did make up my mind that I had poor leaders and I wanted to lead well. And so when I brought God into it, it was a lot of correcting me. It was a lot of
that's good.
We need to get out of you what's in you.
That's good. That's good.
Because you can't you know, you can't overlook the plank in your eye, you know, and point out their flaws. And so God took me on a journey. It was a hard journey.
Yeah.
It was a hard journey because I'd always struggled with constructive criticism. I always took constructive criticism personal, even coming from a good space. You know, even when we became friends, you know, there were some things I would just be like, she didn't have to say that.
I'm gonna always laugh because every time you say that, it just makes me laugh thinking about
I'm like looking at the phone. I'm just like,
why she didn't even have to say it like that?
Say it like that, you know. And that's one of the beautiful things, you know. Now that I'm on this side, I can really appreciate that, you know. None of us, you know, none of Six Crown has ever sit there and coddled my mess.
Yeah,
you know. And so the Lord started taking me on that journey of like, baby girl, I love you, but I need you to see you.
I need you to see you.
I got to hold up the mirror so that you can see. And so it was a journey to go from ego to God, because you know, ego tells you that. Because I thought I was in church. Yeah. I was serving at church. You know, I'm in these leadership spaces at church. And what really got to me and really broke my heart is when God said to me, I'm driving home one day, and you know, I was a leader in freedom. And I loved freedom. Yeah. You know, I got so much out of it for myself. I loved leading. And I'm driving home one day, and you know, I would spend all this time getting prepared to lead freedom. And God said, Amanda, it should not look different, you leading freedom versus you leading at work. It shouldn't look different, because that's hypocritical. And I was like, what? And I was like, well, Lord, I actually love what I do in freedom. And my job, I'm just doing it. And he was like, but if you're doing it unto me, why is it a problem?
Absolutely.
And I'm kind of getting frustrated, because I'm like, Lord, why are you bringing it back to me? Yeah. Like, I'm not the problem. It's them. I've tried. I've done all the things. And God was like,
get your kids, Lord.
But yeah, I'm like, you know, when you tame them, you let me know, right, and I'll go back.
Visit this, yeah.
But God was like, you know, it's not a them problem. It's you. And again, the two shouldn't look different. Right. If somebody from your job come and saw you at church, it shouldn't look different.
Right. They shouldn't be like, I know that's not my boss.
Maybe
the same.
The way
the same person. I know that ain't my boss.
Yeah. and God just showed me how, you know, that it could affect my witness. And so, you know, that began a journey of, you know, self-evaluating, self-critiquing, you know, being responsible. Yeah. Accepting what my part in all of this was. Yeah. And as the leader, all of it was my part, you know. The only things that was happening was what I allowed. And so it didn't look like I thought it would look when I invited God into it. And when I was like, you know, God, I want to be an effective leader. I thought God was going to be like, okay, you need to fire Barbara. You need to demote Sandy. God was like, no, girl, we start right here. With you. Yeah. Yeah.
That makes me think about when I was starting out in the leader space, and I had an amazing. I sing her praises to this day. She was an amazing leader, and she still is. Her name is Natalie, and she was my first woman leader. And I remember my mom had passed away, and I was just down bad. Yeah, I was in the gutter. I ain't gonna lie, I was bad, but I was. in the leader space, and I was just angry. I was mad at the world, mad at God, mad at the circumstances, mad at everything. And it was seeping into work, right? And it had been a little bit since my mom had passed, but I was maybe within that first year or two or so of her passing. And I just remember, I, for the most part, have a pretty even-keeled personality. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty joyous too. You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty. I like to laugh and have a good time, and I'm that's just my personality in general. But my mom was gone. The center mass, my world was gone. So I was not exhibiting that. And I was short with people. I was irritated with everybody. I didn't care. I had an attitude. I was mad at the world. My mom was gone. Yeah. What? How can I help you? Yeah. And I remember Natalie coming to me and pulling me in, having a conversation with me. And I remember her basically telling me that, I acknowledge how you're feeling with the loss of your mom. And everyone here, our hearts are breaking for you with everything that's happened with your mom. But you got to pull it together. Because you are a leader. You are still a leader. And the team is looking up to you to lead them, right? I know you're dealing with the duality of two truths. You're grieving your mom's loss, but you also have to be a leader in this space. Yeah. And you've been entrusted with this position and this responsibility, and you're going to have to manage yourself in a way where you can't keep coming in here with an attitude and being short and rude with people and all the different things. Yeah. And when she first had that conversation with me, talk about being hotter than fish grease. I was hot because I was like, I am grieving. And how are you going to tell me that I need to pull myself together and everybody needs to acquiesce to me, right? Because I couldn't understand why the world hadn't stopped for everybody like the way that the world had stopped for me. Yeah. My world was done. Yeah. It was not spinning on its axis anymore. I was at a standstill. And she was stern but gentle. Yeah. She was tough and tender at the same time. Yeah. She was like, Stacey, I know you're struggling. I know you're having a hard time, but you are still here, and we still have our expectation on you has not changed because your mom has passed away. You have a responsibility as a leader. You have a responsibility as your mom's daughter to continue to be the woman that you are and that you've been called to be in this leader space. You still have to rise to the occasion. And so I was thoroughly annoyed that she had that conversation with me. But when the smoke cleared and the dust settled, I recognized that she was right. Yes. She was right. This was still a position that God had given me to steward, that he had called me into to steward, and I was stewarding it poorly. Yeah. And I was, when I sat with it, I was so grateful that she had the boldness to have that conversation with me, because she could have allowed me to continue on in the same path, and I would have self-destructed. Yeah. She could have let me self-destruct in that space, but instead she saw an opportunity to walk alongside of me and to say, hey, I understand that you're struggling, and I know that you're having a tough time, and my heart goes out to you. There's grace for that. But you still have to come in here and be the leader that we know that you can be, that we appointed you to be. We put you in this position because we trust you. Yeah. And so whatever you got to do to get it together, but you got to get it together. Yeah. And so I just appreciated her. And she was one of the ones who, she continues to inform how I lead. She continues to inform how I have to have tough conversations, and you have to have tough conversations in the leadership space. And so she's informed me. And it's oftentimes I go back to that conversation. I've shared that with my supervisors, because I have 5 supervisors that directly report to me, and I've had those conversations with them. And so I tend to remember that this is an opportunity that God allows me to have. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I started really honing in on the fact that, Lord, everywhere I go, I want to bring glory to your name. Yes. You're a God of excellence. And so everything that I do, I want to do it in a spirit of excellence. Absolutely. And I want to bless your name. Yeah. And like you said, if someone sees me at church, or if they see me in the street, I don't want them to be like, that can't be the same person. Who? I want them to have recognition of who I am. I don't want them to be like, I want them to say, the essence and the spirit of who she is at work is the essence and the spirit of who she is at church, in the grocery store, or wherever she's at. Absolutely. So when we're talking about that, being in that leader space and trying to manage our egos and from a healing space and all the things, since you've been in a leader space and since you're newer into it, have you had moments where you've wrestled with the fear of being too much as a leader?
Absolutely. My from an unhealed space, when I was younger, I have always been labeled as too much. Because I was just always, I didn't always know how to steward it, but I was always the one, like, if 10 people went left, I was going to be the one to go right. And so being from a smaller area, a really conservative area, that looked like rebellion. When you were confident, when you were, believed in yourself, that kind of came off as rebellious. And so I allowed those words to be the loudest voice in my head, right? And so that has been an area of struggle for me, is because I do tend to, my initial response tends to be to shrink, because I'm already perceiving, I'm having these conversations with myself. Don't be too much. Like, whoa, slow down.
Pump your brakes.
And so one of the things that has helped me settle into that is, giving myself permission to be okay with and to understand everybody is not meant for me and I'm not meant for everybody.
Right.
I can lead you from a place of knowledge and expertise, but also not being on a personal level and being, for you in a sense, and I've had to learn that. I've had to learn to be okay with I'm leading because I have the knowledge and the expertise. I'm not leading because everybody wants to be my friend. Or everybody is for me, or everybody thinks I deserve this space. That's not why I'm leading. And I've had to learn to keep the two separate. I've had to learn to, you don't merge the two. And so early on when I was a leader, it was all about, we let's be Facebook friends, and we gonna go to lunch and we gonna go do all those things. And I've since learned, no. Even when it appears, well, no. Because that gives some people the blurred lines of, like, when you do have to have those hard conversations, it's like, well, I thought we were friends.
Correct.
And so I that's something I struggle with. I did struggle with, but it has saved me more times than not, when I have kept those separate, because I can go in level-headed and I can go in on the outside looking, looking in, I'm not in it. And so, I'm not having to have a conversation, whereas, Sue may see me and Sally hanging out and be like, oh, well, you stood up for Sally because y'all are friends. There's no blurred lines. And I had to learn that, God has given me my community that pours into me. And that's where how I need to flow upward, and work the people that are over me. I don't need to be seeking advice, from my subordinates, and so that has really, it was a challenge for me, but I've really learned and leaned into that, and just realized it's not personal. I think that was a lot of my downfall when I first got into leadership, is I took everything personal. If I couldn't fix a situation, I took it personal. If I felt like I didn't say the right words, or if I didn't feel like the outcome was what I thought it should be, I took it personal. And I've just had to learn that I'm not the savior. I need to seek God. I need to seek those above me. I need to seek wise counsel. and whatever plays out, I need to be able to, at 5 o'clock, I need to be able to detach from that.
Absolutely.
And leave that there.
Absolutely.
And then I can pick up at 8 o'clock in the morning, you know what I'm saying, if I need to. Yeah. But I had such blurred lines. I was bringing home to work and work to home. And it was so blurred, you know, I didn't know,
correct,
you know, where the line in the sand was, because it was so blurred. Yeah. But I felt like that. I felt like doing more made me more effective.
I had talking about blurred lines in the sand. I learned early on from the women leaders that I was telling you that I had the privilege of being under the tutelage, and a lot of the women leaders I had the opportunity to learn from were telling me basically, I remember even when I started into leadership about 15 years ago, like I said, I went from being peer to being leader to peer. And I just remember Natalie, you know, having a conversation with me too about separating yourself, not othering yourself, but separating yourself, right? Because these women are no longer, they're your friends in that sense. They're your coworker friends, but you have to have a separation because when there is an authority that you are given, it's not a less than I'm up here, you're down here, but there has to be a line in the sand that denotes you as the authority. It's like with your children, right? Yeah. It's not that I'm better than my kids because I'm their parent, but there is a greater weight that comes with your responsibility as their parent, right? Absolutely. And they need to know that you are the shepherd, you are the line, you are the benchmark. And so early on, they would tell me, like, I don't allow the two to cross. I'm not friends on Facebook or any of the social medias with the employees, with the associates. I don't allow those two things to mix. And I've held that, and I still am like that to this day. I don't allow those two things to mix because, again, it's not that, you know, I'm worried about them seeing anything on my social media and being like, well, I thought she was one way, because that's not the concern. Yeah. The concern is that in this leader space that the Lord has given me an authority, and I want to honor that authority that He's given me. And again, not from a space of I'm better than you because I'm your leader, but from a space of you have to separate the wheat from the tares. Yes. Right? There has to be a separation. And in the space that I've been in, the Lord has given me opportunities to be able to minister and to witness in these spaces. And so can you imagine being in a leader space, but you have allowed the lines to blur and compromise? And like you said, your witness has been affected. You were having a conversation with one of your subordinates and then sharing some things with them, some confidences with them that they shouldn't have known. And then you have to turn around and you have to discipline them for something, or they have to share something with you. They're like, I don't trust you. Yeah. You just got done telling me about so-and-so's business, and now you want me to come to you and to tell you about something. And it's a missed opportunity for you to be able to witness in that space when the Lord's like, if you had protected that place of leadership and authority that I had given you, when I allowed the opportunity and the space to be right for you to witness to them, it would have been no issue, because they would have seen you as a person of integrity. They would have known that you were a person that you respected confidences and things of that nature. Yeah. So I could have made the environment safe for them to come and to share with you the things that I wanted them to share, so that you could have that appointed conversation with them about me. But now you've tainted the waters. You've crossed the line. They don't see you as somebody that they can trust. Yeah. They see you as you in the mess with them. And so, the Lord really has always dealt with me about because, to your point, I have had moments where I've been fearful of, like, doing too much. Yeah. Being seen as doing too much. And the Lord was like, you have to get comfortable in being in these spaces, because there's a boldness that I need for you to have, right? The devil's not worried about doing too much. He's out there wreaking havoc. Yeah. And you can't be concerned about that to the detriment of missing out on what I'm calling you into, the spaces that I'm calling you into, to being able to do that. So that's good. That leads me into, as he would have those conversations about, being too much and creating the separation line, creating the line of demarcation. Like I said, we've been talking about the women leaders that I've had, but being a woman leading with gentleness and authority, how are you managing and balancing the two in your space?
Yeah, so for me, it looks like, again, not having those blurred lines, right? So you will know which picture to pour out of, right?
That's good.
Because it's like, you have to, as a leader, you have to know, okay, is this true? Is this manipulation? Is this
very good?
What is this?
Right.
And if your emotions are so in it and they precede you, you can't distinguish what's going on.
Right.
And my thing is, I used to feel like, when I was leader A, I felt like anything negative, I had to call it out. Like, I'm letting you know I see. And now that I'm a leader Z, God is like, there's some moments where I'm seeing, because I have a very discerning spirit. And so sometimes I see and I'm like, she is lying to me. She is lying to me. And so what I've come to realize is I can't be quick to judge, right? Because if she is lying to me, why
is she lying to me?
And a lot of times I find out from those very people is because, she may be telling me, hey, I need to be off today because, my kid is sick.
Right.
And it may be that she is just struggling. She's just tired.
Right.
But she's been made to feel less than for saying, hey, I need a mental break.
Right.
Or I need an emotional break. And so they resort to, I'm not going to tell you everything. I have to perform, my struggle.
Right.
And so that's what they learn to do, to perform it. So whereas I'm seeing it as, okay, she lying to me.
Yeah.
I've learned to start investigating. And they're going to be comfortable when I give them permission to be comfortable, right? So that looks like, I don't always have to question.
Right.
I can simply just be like, okay, you know what? You did everything you were supposed to do. You went and you requested off. You did all the things. It's not my business.
Right. It is not my business.
It is not my business. But what I can say is like, hey girl, if you need me, I'm here.
Correct.
I don't need to be prying.
Correct.
I don't need to be, I need to be knowing what picture to pour out of.
Correct.
So is this a moment for me to be gentle and understanding, or do I need to be authoritative? Yeah. Now, if this same person is coming and every Friday that we get paid,
every Friday you just so happy,
she gotta, then I need to take more of an authoritative role and say, now Sally.
Right.
I get it.
Right.
I want to go spend my money when I get paid too, but we have we have to be here.
Correct.
We have a job to do.
We have to steward our job.
And when we are not here and reliable, we're dropping the ball somewhere.
Right.
So, I get it. You may have to go pay bills, but can you use your lunch break?
Right.
If you need an extra 15 minutes on your lunch break, hey, we can do that.
I can work with you.
But every Friday we can't do this.
Every Friday you can't happen to just need to be out on your lunch break.
And so I think that you're able to distinguish what picture to pour out of when you die to yourself. Yeah. And you're able to get to know people.
Absolutely.
You watch people's patterns.
Yes.
You understand people. You know where people are without. So you're not asking, because one thing, especially women, we wear what we're going through. We wear our emotions. You know what I'm saying? Like you can try to hide it, but we are emotion first. Yeah. So I know you may be telling me I'm okay, but I know, and it may not be. Right. And so you learn to watch and to understand. And one of the things in this season God has really shown me is God was like, stop listening to speak. Listen to understand.
That's good.
Listen to know how to navigate. And so that has been how I navigate that is I'm like, okay, what am I seeing? What am I, what am I noticing? And then I'm able to know, okay, is this something that requires me to be gentle? And also too, you can be authoritative and be gentle.
Yes, you can.
You don't have to come in as this drill sergeant. Right. You know what I mean? You can, because when people are yelling and stuff at me, I shut down.
It's not effective.
And so I don't ever want to be that, and I'm to the point now where I can put my big girl pants on and be like, you know what, Sally, we need to have this conversation, but right now you or I neither are in the space to have this.
Absolutely.
So let's resume tomorrow at 9:00 or whatever, knowing your capacity. That gives you, the clear lens to be able to see, what does this person under me need from me right now?
Absolutely. You don't have to be a small manager, as my brother says it. Brother says you don't have to be a small manager, which is just another term for micromanager. Yeah. Right? Yeah. You don't have to, because a lot of times I think people who are micromanaging, it could speak to a sense of insecurities.
Absolutely.
Now, there's some times where you have some saints that you got to micromanage them. We love the kids. Yeah. We want to treat everybody as an adult, but they have exhibited behaviors and trends where you're like, nope, you need me to small manage you.
Yeah.
And I that's not a space that I lead into. I've never been a small manager. I've always given people the grace to be adults and do their job. But if I have to lean into that, I will. But I even as you were speaking, I was just thinking about how, one thing that I always remember is that for some of the people that I come in contact with, whether it's my direct associates, indirect associates, or those people that I work with in my corporate space, that I may be the only Christ that's being represented.
Yeah.
And so I always try to lead from that space. I always try to make sure I'm separating myself so that people see me as someone, as a woman of integrity, as a woman of character. And so I remember I had a leader as I was going up the ranks. I was on a supervisor role, and I had been doing the position for about 2-3 years. And then my leader above me, she had an occasion, her husband was in the military, so they ended up getting stationed somewhere else. And so I just knew came time for her to leave that I was going to be transitioned to the manager position, or so I thought. Well, that didn't happen. I was hot about it. I was like, why would I not have been transitioned into the manager position, but you want me to train the manager? Long story short, had a conversation with my leaders above me, with my directors, senior directors, and they were asking me these different questions about these different things. And I was like, well, no, I didn't ever learn this. And I was told, don't worry about it. I was told that, that's not part of the work that we do and blah, blah, blah. What happened, what ended up becoming the revelation after that situation was that my direct manager above me was holding information to the vest. There was things that she was not sharing with me. She was not doing knowledge transfer that impacted me being ready to transition into her space. And I didn't find out about this until after she left. They said, well, you never learned this and you didn't learn. I was like, I didn't know I was supposed to know that. And so I remembered at that time, whenever I would have conversations with her, she would always say, there's so much I'm shielding you from. Because it was me and a fellow supervisor. We had 2 teams and then our manager. And so she would always tell us, there's so many things I'm keeping you guys from. I'm shielding you guys from this. And, if you guys just knew what was happening on a day-to-day basis. And so I always thought, okay, well, good. I'm doing my work. She's being a good boss. Come to find out, there were things that she was shielding us from that we should have known as leaders. Ultimately, what it did is it stunted our growth. My other fellow supervisor, my fellow colleague, she left. She got a position somewhere else. So it was just me left. And so I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know that my growth was being stunted. I didn't know that I was missing an opportunity to grow and to learn and to be in a space where when it was time, I could succeed her, right? She was holding back knowledge. And when I really sat with that, I was so irritated by that. Like, why would she not have shared that information with me? And so I vowed from that moment forward, as I continued to climb further as a leader, I was like, I would never do that to my team. I would never do that to the supervisors that I have charge over, because I want them to be equipped.
Yeah.
And part of being equipped is sharing hard things, doing hard things. And it tells them that if I don't trust them with this information, if I feel like I have to shield them and I can't talk to them about these things, then that means I don't trust them as a leader. That I'm not giving them an opportunity to rise to the occasion. You don't know what's in you until you have to be in those positions where it has to rise to the top. Right? I want to see what's going to rise to the top. Because if they rise to the occasion, great, we can keep on going. If they don't rise to the occasion, that lets me know where, as their leader, I have opportunities to help them get there. Right? So I shared that conversation with them. I shared that story with them where I told them, I'm not going to be a leader that's not going to do knowledge transfer. I'm not going to just lead you into the hard, wade you into the deep, and leave you there. I'm going to come with you. I'm going to be your floaty, right? I'm going to continue to be with you until you're ready to be on your own. Then we're going to go a little bit deeper, and then we're going to go a little bit deeper, because the end game is that you should be a better swimmer than me. You should be a master diver when it's over, right? You should be able to then also lead a team and take them on to the next level as well. So I think that, you know, like you said, there's moments where we have to learn how to lead with both that gentleness and that authority. And that comes from being settled in yourself. Right? That comes from the knowledge of Christ saying, no, I've put you in this position to be able to lead in a space of authority. And I see now how, again, we talk about this all the time. God doesn't waste anything.
Absolutely.
Being in this leader space, the Lord has taught me how to be more safe and secure in the authority that He's given me as a daughter. Right? And especially in this season where the Lord is calling me towards other spaces, it's allowing me to sink in. It's allowing it to settle in and to sink in that I can do this. I'm built for this. God has equipped me with the grace. His grace is sufficient, and I have His DNA. I have His strength running through me, that I don't have to shrink. I don't have to sink back, but I can continue to move forward and be who He's calling me to be in this space and in these spaces.
That's good. And I think that when being in a place of authority, like you said, it comes from being secure, but it also comes from knowing your track record with Christ and knowing that, you know, God is not in a box. Because I think when you are afraid to lead with authority, and you are afraid, you're holding things in, and you don't want, you know, to share this because you may be afraid that someone will be 2 steps ahead of you. I think you place God in a box.
Absolutely.
Because I in this role I'm in, I enjoy it. You know, and I love it, and it's hard moments, you know, and it's teaching me a lot. But also too, I'm a daughter of Christ, so I know that that's not a position I'm going to stay in. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to. That's not my desire. Now, it's God's will for my life, because there's things I need to learn at this level. You know, and God's will is for us to obtain all that we need to know so that we can walk out the desires of our heart. As long as they line up with Him. And so when you're afraid to pass on knowledge and to pass on what will equip somebody, because right now my mindset, yes, I want to learn this role so I can be beneficial, but I also want to teach the ones that desire to be in this role everything so that they can be successful, you know, and succeed me. Because, you know, for me, this is a stop in my destination. You know what I'm saying? It's not my destination. You know, I know what I desire. And I think once you're secure in Christ, and once you trust Christ, you are more able to lead well, and to be able to, you know, give them what they need, like you said, to be better than me. You know? But I think that comes from a place of just being so secure in Christ, and being so secure in who we are.
That's so. I'm thinking about stewarding influence responsibly, and I remember I was watching this pod episode with Dallas Jenkins and his wife, and he and his wife are the creators of The Chosen. And he was asked a question: how does he remain humble with all of the influence and the different responsibilities that he has. And he was like, one of his prayers is that God keep me low. Keep us low.
Wow.
And that resonated with me. And it still continues to resonate with me. He was like, there's a lot of things that we walk through in our life that just keep us low in general. But, keep me low, Lord. Let my heart always be reflective of the fact that there's nothing that I'm doing that is by my own hand. There's nothing that I have that is by my own hand.
Absolutely.
Everything that you are allowing me to do is because you are allowing me to do it, right? Keep me low before you, God. Keep me in a postured in a space, Lord, where I'm always in a place of humility before you, God. Yeah. And I remember that, and I think about that often because that's the cry of my heart.
Yes.
When I wake up in the morning and it's time for me to get ready to log in, I work from home, and to start my day, I'm always praying, Lord, allow me to lead well today.
Yes.
Be with me, God. Help me be an effective leader. Let me be the leader that you're calling me to be, God.
Yes.
Keep me low before you, Lord. Keep me humble before you, that I can lead in the spaces that that you're asking me to lead in. And so I never forgot about that and what he was saying, and just how it is an honor to be in positions, even when it doesn't feel like it. And you and I have talked about this. I'm in a precipice place right now where I'm ready to transition out of a leadership space, because I've been there for 15 going on 20 years. And so I feel like I'm towards the tail end of being in that space and ready to transition into my next thing. But even with that, I see again, like I said, God's hand that has been on that span of time that I have been in the leadership role, and he's given me the grace to do what I do. And there's so many things that I have learned, and I'm still learning in the leadership space, but that God has just allowed me to learn, and through the people that I've had the opportunity to be able to lead. They have been such a blessing to me. I've learned so much from the people that I've had the opportunity to be able to lead. Absolutely. And that God has given me charge and authority over. They keep you low, right? Because again, like I said, we're never going to arrive until we get on this side of earth, to the other side of glory. We're going to always be, striving to move forward and to be the best leaders that God is calling us to be in this space. Yeah. And I think that, when you realize, when you bring yourself to the knowledge that I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this. This is a form of ministry. I'm leading to win people to Christ. Yes, I want them to do this job well. They got to do the job.
You know what I'm saying? Yes, and yes, we're doing it for a paycheck to pay bills. But ultimately, you know what I'm saying? I'm doing this to lead people to Christ. Absolutely. Even if I don't see it, right? I know that I'm planting a seed. One plant. You know what I'm saying? I know God that. Yes. Yeah. And it's like, what they see is what they get on any given day. Not just Sunday or whatever the case may be. And I also think about too, I try to filter everything through the lens of being a mom, right? Because I'm a mama bear through and through. Yeah. And I when my kids depart from me every morning at 8:00, I trust that people are treating my children well. Good. You know what I'm saying? So good. And so for me, when these people show up every day, I don't ever want anybody's parent, whether that parent is their spiritual daddy, God, or if it's their physical parent, I never want anyone to wonder, while their children are not in their presence, how are they being treated? And that's good. The same thing with God. So what I'm saying? I don't ever want God to be like, man, she mistreated my child. And even in those moments, because we have them, right. That I'm able to go back and say, you know what, I didn't handle that right. So good. I can remain lowly enough that I can say, you know what, Sally, I shouldn't have talked to you like that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It was the heat of the moment. If you are in a position of leadership, whether that's at church, whether it's in the world, whether it's whatever that sphere of influence is, if you are not able to um publicly acknowledge, you know what I'm saying, that you didn't handle something right, or also be willing to say, you know what, I don't know, but I can figure it out, or let's do this together so we both can figure it out. I don't take that lightly. I don't take lightly that God as a spiritual father, but also physical parents are entrusting that when their children are with me from 8 to 5, that they're being mistreated or misused or mismanaged. You know what I'm saying? I want to always steward that well.
Yeah.
I want to always, I don't want to be the reason that someone's light goes out.
Right.
I never want to be the person that blows somebody's fire out.
So good.
So I'm checking myself daily, moment by moment.
So good.
Like what am I doing with this? I have one nurse that works under me, and when she first started working, she was a thorn in my side. She was the nurse that nobody wanted to work with her. She was just a lot. She she was a lot.
Yeah.
And I would find myself, she would call and ask me a question, and I would just be like, oh my God, here she go again.
Yeah.
I would see my phone ring, and I'm like, oh my God. And one day, she called, and I answered the phone, and I was just being really annoyed, and God was like, just listen.
Yeah.
Just listen. You answered the phone annoyed.
You answered on 10. You was irritated. You were on 10. Answered.
So just listen. And so we're talking, and she was having this conversation, and for me, I'm an empath, so whatever you giving off, I feel it, and so I could just feel this anxiousness, and I was just like, oh my God, like she's so anxious. And so I was like, okay, pause. And I was like, all I said to her, I was like, I'm in this with you.
So good.
And she was like, she stopped dead in her tracks, and she was like, what did you say? And I was like, I'm in this with you.
Yeah.
Like, you're not alone. I know that this is difficult. I know that we are in this transition, and it's hard. I know we went to bed one way and we woke up to something completely different, and we're all navigating it. But I'm in this with you. And those words changed everything.
Shifted the whole conversation.
And at first when I said it, she was like, are you really? And I said, I absolutely am. And she was giving me pushback, and every time I was like, I understand.
Yeah.
I get it. And now she is one of the people, I can ask her to do anything, and she's gonna run. She's like, absolutely, and she may, give me a little pushback from time to time.
Right.
But what I learned about her is her personality type. She doesn't do well with change. She doesn't do, and so like if she has her day planned out, and she knows that I'm gonna go here, and then I call her midday and I'm like, hey, I gotta throw a wrench in your plans.
Right.
I have to give her time to adapt to that. Right. So when I call her, I have to be like, hey, look, I need you to do this. This takes priority over what you're doing. Right. So can I shift something from today onto tomorrow?
Right.
And catapult you this direction.
Right.
But when she saw that I was actually trying to help,
right,
that
she was with her.
Yes.
Right.
She was like, the response was different. And so, that's God just began to speak to me and show me, like you are not only stewarding yourself well, you have to steward their callings.
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes it's easy to forget that not only are we navigating, this job, but we're navigating multiple personalities.
Oh my gosh.
Multiple traumas. Multiple. And so, I can't talk to Sally the way I would talk to Sue.
Right.
Because they're in two different spaces. But as a leader, as an effective leader, learning to steward them well, I have to be able to, in one moment, drop down low to meet Sue where she's at. But also, I'm up here to meet Sally where she's at.
Correct.
It's a balancing beam. And when you learn that, you really learn to steward your sphere of influence.
Yes, that's so good. And I think you learn to lead with you, like you said, your sphere of influence, But I think it also it's a lesson for us in how God treats us.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't paint us with the broad stroke. He's like, no, Stacy needs this, Amanda needs this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, God is so good and so gracious in how he knows to meet us right exactly where we are with everything that we need. And I think that's just a reflection of his love for us, that he has us passed down to those that we have in authority, in charge over us. Man. So this has been a good one, girl.
Yes, it is. It's a much needed conversation, and when we think about it, we're never not leading.
Never not
whether
leading.
It's in our home, whether and you might not have a title of a leader.
Absolutely.
But you're leading.
But you're always leading.
Because a leader is you just have an increase in knowledge and expertise.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So when you look at it from that standpoint, I don't have to have the title to know that there's some areas I'm knowledgeable in.
Absolutely.
And that I have expertise and people need me.
Yeah. And managing that and stewarding and managing that leadership opportunity well. And to your point, it all stems back to healing, right? Yeah. You've got to be working towards being in a healed space so that you can lead well.
Absolutely.
You can lead the people that God has put in your charge well. No matter where it is, whether you're leading in your home as a parent, whether you're leading on your job, whether you're leading at your church, whether you're leading in your school, whether you're, co-leading in a relationship space, right? Yeah. Like that you have to learn how to lead well. And that starts with, being healed and submitting that through Christ so that he can teach you the different avenues and how to do that. So
one of the I want to leave you guys with a book that I picked up that I'm reading. It's called The Emotional Healthy Leader. And that book is built on biblical principles, right? But it's teaching you how to navigate and to be able to remain lowly.
Yeah.
And to be able to remove yourself personally from things and just realizing God is with you in these spaces, and if we're taking it personal, we're not tuned in to God is allowing this. That's good. Or that God is allowing us to this is a divine appointment for God to do what he does, so that we can point people back to the true north,
good.
Even in the secular world, God needs people of influence. God needs leaders that are going to find a way to point others to him.
So good. So good. You're going to have to link the book in the title.
Yes, I will. It's really good. It's really good. Yeah.
We've had another good conversation. What would you say to leaders to be mindful of this week as they get ready to start their week?
Yeah, I would just say being mindful of where you are. Being mindful of where you are in the moment so that will give you your game plan. Like, for instance, for me, I know this is going to be a tough week because I'm a new leader in this space and all of the other leaders will be gone to a conference. And so I'll be in the office by myself. And so I know, tonight I need to go to bed early.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I need to get rest. I need to give myself time in the morning to get going, not being from this place of agitation or aggravation, right? And so I know my capacity for this week.
Good.
And so how can I prepare myself? Because, I'm the only one for our staff to lean on.
Yeah.
So I know more is going to be required of me. So I would just say knowing where you are, to get a game plan to know where you're going.
Good. That's
what I'm saying? When you have a plan, when plan ABC, you have an avenue. And just don't forget God.
Don't forget God.
Do not forget God. Take him with you in everything. Yeah.
That's good, Mandy. I would piggyback and add on that. Always be self-auditing and stay low.
Yes.
Always be self-auditing and stay low.
Absolutely.
Look for the opportunity in everything
Mm-hmm.
when you're in those leader spaces. Look for how it is and it will inform you. And look for the opportunities that God is giving you to minister in those spaces to the people who are around you. Be praying for situations and how you can have an influence over the situation or over that person as a believer.
Yeah.
But always be self-auditing and always stay low.
That's so good. And also ask God this week, God, where are you calling me to lead?
Where are you calling me to lead?
Yes, so good. Where am I already leading?
Where am I already leading?
And knowing those things, and like we said, staying low.
Staying low.
I mean, that will get you so far. Staying low.
Yeah, stay low. All right. We love you. We want to hear about it in the comments. Let us know where God is calling you to lead.
Absolutely. And we will, walk alongside you and be praying. Stacy is a wealth of information with the years of experiences that she have. I've been calling on her a lot in this season because it's more new for me. But, don't be afraid to reach out. We will help in any way that we can. We will find whatever resources that you may need. But most importantly, we will be praying for you in this season.
We will be praying for you in this season.
All right. Love y'all. Have a good week.